Hi everybody, it's Jackie Smurden here in Dunnock Studio in the heart of Norfolk, and I'm all about art with a heart and hope to get everybody enjoying their art. So what we're doing today, we're looking at watercolour pencils. What do you do with them? Really interesting because I don't usually use them either. So get your pencils out and let's have some fun. Welcome to my new tin. How lovely this is. Derwent Watercolour Collection, which I bought when I went to the Keswick Pencil Museum. What a fascinating place. Actually, I really didn't know about it. The history of graphite, the fact that it came from the UK, people didn't know what it was. They tried to burn it as coal. They rubbed it on their sheep to mark their sheep. And from all of those beginnings came the humble pencil. Well, this is a step up from graphite pencils. We're into the watercolour collection here. So I thought I'd share how I'm going to try and use these. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, I am a beginner with watercolour pencils. So let's have a little look what we've got in here. This set has come with different ways of using watercolour. They have an Inktense block, Inktense pencils, watercolour pencils. So this is my set. What am I going to do with it? Well, the first thing I always do with any new set of paints, and these are paints, is to swatch them out. So the Pencil Museum is in Keswick in the Lake District, and there are lovely sheep called Herdwick sheep. So I decided to swatch them out. There's my Inktense blocks, there's the watercolour pencils, there we have the Inktense pencils. So I've done a little shape and then I've washed it down. Sometimes they've mixed, as you can see here. And then I've gone over with black ink, which is my favourite way to finish watercolours at the moment. That was also a Derwent pen, so just thought I'd try one of their pens as well. Just to make it fair, I do have other watercolour pencils here. These ones came from Blue Acorn. I think I got these off of Bromley's, which is artsupplies.co.uk. They are very, very nice and not expensive, but I will show you one thing. You can always tell a Derwent pencil because of this angled colour block at the end. And if it's not a colour, like this one is not a colour, there's just an angled black end there. Now that denotes a Derwent pencil from the UK. And the colours used on the end are the same pigments that are in the pencils. So I'm not going to do anything with the blocks today. I did just show you this one. When I use the blocks, they're quite rough, so they're going to be much better for big blocky things to make texture, etc. So join me on this journey and we'll see what we can do with watercolour pencils. Going on with the Herdwick sheep theme, I have two sorts of paper here. I have a hot press paper and a cold press paper. One of the things I noticed when I was using the pencils is that the pencil lines never quite go away. So if you don't want to have too much texture, I'm guessing that the hot press paper will make that easier. So I'm going to do similar things on both papers. So I've got three pencils here. I've got the Blue Acorn pencils that I mentioned, which are watercolour, the Derwent, which are watercolour, and the Derwent Intense. They're not exactly the same colour, and this is what I found. I'm so used to tube paint and I stick to a very, very simple palette. When we go into the world of pencils, there are so many colours, and you don't just get given a red, blue and a yellow, so it's already different. So let's just have a little go. So let me just do a little This is on the cold pressed paper. There's my first little sheep shape. I haven't sharpened these, I'm just using them straight out of the box. And there's lots of ways to sharpen pencils. Some people use a craft knife, some people use a pencil sharpener. It's entirely up to you. So let's pop that one down there. There we go. So this one is Blue Acorn and doesn't actually tell you what colour it is. Nope, so we'll just go with that. So I'll get myself a brush. So I've just got a very soft watercolour brush here, nothing too harsh. I don't want to be scrubbing away at the paper. So here's the cold pressed paper and I'm just blending this Blue Acorn pencil away as far as I can. Just bring my nice little water pot in, which I made at the pottery. Let's just try this one now on the hot pressed. Whoop. Now straight away I can feel that that blended away really quickly. I'm in full sun here. I decided not to block out the sun on this video. I thought we'd just enjoy it while it's here. Okay, that's that one. Now we'll try the Derwent watercolour. This one does tell you what it is. It's an ultramarine blue. Let's try and get that sheep shape a bit better this time. Not something I've ever painted before, is sheep, but they're quite fun. I'll show you the sketchbook one I did in a little while. So I'm keeping this quite gentle and loose. I know those of you who use watercolour pencils will be going, oh my goodness, Jackie, you've no idea what you're doing. Absolutely I don't, but I would like to think if you knew what you were doing, you'd be on a different video at the moment, exploring the advanced techniques with an expert on this media. This is very much for beginners. Now can you see how the lines are staying there and on this one? So this is the Derwent watercolour pencil. The lines stay much more than the Blue Acorn watercolour pencil. Now let's try the Inktense. This is a violet. Again, it's not the same colour as the others because I haven't got identical colours. Let's see what happens with this one. Run that down. This is where it's just fun just to sketch silly little things. You can use the side of the actual pigment lead there. It's not really lead, is it? There we go. Oh, look at that lovely colour. So this is Inktense, which are known for being bright and very vibrant. Very is definitely vibrant. So I've actually got just to lift some of that off because obviously the pigment is way too strong for the size of the work I'm doing. Let's just pull that one down there. There we go, right the way down. So that also leaves lines, but less so on the hot press paper. So there we go. So the first thing that I notice is the Blue Acorn pencil leaves a lot less lines, the Derwent watercolour leaves more, and the Inktense leaves similar, maybe slightly less, but it is very, very much more vibrant as a pigment. So whilst those little swatches are drying, I thought I'd show you my Herdwick. So I layered the pencils by drawing round and round and round, just scribbling, doodling really, and then I smushed them, so technical term, smush. So essentially I started off with dry pencil on dry paper, then I added water and just let it go where it wanted to, then let that dry and then added ink on top. So you can just see in the grass here there's quite a bit of texture from the pencil there, less so where I've added lots more water and it's flowed off. And I believe I've added a bit of coloured pencil on top. There's an opaque white sitting on top there. So that was a bit of fun, and that's my little Herdwick. I've been sketching with my pen over my Herdwick sheep, just having a bit of fun here, giving them some little legs. There we go. So that's a permanent waterproof pen, I hope, because the next thing I'm going to do is see if we can shift this paint that we previously had on. It's all dry. Can I shift it? Again, I'm not scrubbing with a very hard brush here. Doesn't move very much, that first one. Little bit coming off of the Derwent watercolour. Not so much coming off of the Inktense. So that's interesting. Once they're wet and settled and dried off, they don't tend to shift much. So from that I would suggest that you, if you want to use your pencil and then soften it straight away. You noticed the accidental water spill there. I just gave me an idea, so I just poured water all over this, but let's just go for it. Let's just pop it in here and smush it. So my Herdwicks are in there. Take them out. Has it shifted them? Might as well go for gold. Is there any pigment running off with that water? Not a lot, no. So I take it from that once you've got your watercolour pencils on, unlike watercolour out of a tube or a pan, these are fairly safe. They're not going to go running off if you accidentally drop water on them. So lesson learned. Whilst these are still wet, I might as well go with it and utilise the next phase we could try using the Derwent and scribbling into the damp paper on top. Is it really adding anything? Yes, a little bit. There we go, it's just getting a little soft. This is a soft blue, so I've just developed the colour a little bit. If I do that again on this one, this is still soaking wet, so I can, oh, look at that. Wow. You can develop it very much stronger, isn't it? And then the Inktense, let's give that a go. So is this still wet? Yes, this is still wet. Going to be really bright, this, isn't it? This one's turned into a violet black sheep. There we go. That was fun. So this is another way you can use them into wet. You get very, very strong, vivid lines. You can also use your brush to pick up the pigment off the pencil. This is a great way if you're travelling, you don't want to take your tube paints, but you want lots of colours. You can just use it like that. It's quite a nice way to paint. Let's just take that, right, look how much pigment that picked up just from a couple of swipes across the top of here. So it's very vivid. This is the Inktense again. So that's another way you can use them. Let's try a different colour into that violet. So this is still really, really wet. So I'm just going to just draw into it. Don't know what these are. They're just some sort of random shapes. Maybe they're the sheep's favourite flower. There we go. Still wet, so it's taking a pigment for a little walk, but not very far. So let's see what happens if I nudge it, bearing in mind that everything's still wet, it's still moving. There we go. Look, I'm making a bloom now. So you can sort of do a bit of lifting off while it's still wet. Could lift out there. lift off with a towel. Look. But the line I've just made is not lifting quite so easily. Okay. To see if you do like lifting out, is that going to be a deal breaker? Now I'm on hot press paper here, which also would make a difference because it's really grabbed the colour. So not making much headway there. So let's just try that again on the cold press paper. This has got loads of extra pigment on, but let's just see. Can we lift off? Let's try one at a time. So the first one, slight mark has lifted there. Yeah, and again there. Let's try the Inktense Violet. And yes, that's lifted as well. So there you go. It's worth experimenting with your different colours and different timings from when the water was on, whether it's dry, whether it's still damp, which paper you've used. It's all worth experimenting. Thought we'd have a little sketch test. So I've just picked a buddleia flower from my garden, which is very pretty. And I'm going to keep that off to the side here so that I can see it, but it's not blocking your view. So how would I go about this? Well, let's try different ways, different techniques, just see what happens, shall we? So first thing I could do, and this is something I do use in my watercolour paintings already, is to choose a similar colour to what the end painting will be and to draw it in watercolour pencil. That way when you come to paint it, you haven't got those harsh pencil lines underneath that can be quite annoying if you don't like them. So I have got a very soft pink, so I'm going to go in with this vibrant pink. I'm just going to sketch the general shape of my buddleia flower, just to give me a feeling for what it looks like. There's lots of detail in here, so this could be fun. But this is my first area, so I'm just going to very lightly shade in. Let's see how well we can do a background soft wash. Now this is cold press paper. I think it's 225 grams. It's a sketchbook by Sea White, so it's not very heavy paper. So there's my pink, and this is what I do like about these pencils, is you can pick up colours direct. You don't have to think too much about blending them, although of course you can if you want to. So we'll try the Inktense one for maybe the leaves at the front, because we know they're strong. I'm not going to do much detail here, I'm just playing. I'm going to overlap that one there just to see what happens. So it's coming out there. Then I'm going to do slightly more traditional for this bit here, is to do some layering. So we'll do yellow. I've got a leaf here, very gentle. I did learn that if you press too hard when you're layering on your paints, your pigments, sorry, it's really quite difficult to remove those lines afterwards. So think about being very gentle when you're popping on your pigment, and a bit like you would with your watercolour brush, you don't want to upset the pigment. You know how moody it can be. So right, I've got that one on. Now I just need to layer it with some blue. Let's go with this blue acorn one again. Let's just layer on top. Maybe not everywhere, just in a few places to suggest this variety. Let's even add a little bit of that over here as well. So there we go, that's sort of a little bit of a starting point. So let's just see what happens, shall we? So damp brush, clean water, just let that pigment go. Well, that's quite nice. That pink pencil has left a nice soft, not much marks underneath there at all. That's quite nice, like that. Now let's just pull down away from the pink. Oh, see how vibrant that is. See, we're learning already. Inktense is very vibrant. Let's bring this down. This is where I've layered rather than using a single colour. So that's good. So just like any other watercolour, I would probably let that dry before I did anything else. But as we're experimenting, some of these flowers I've got in front of me have got orange centres. So I just so happen to have an Inktense cadmium orange and a red, oh look, a red oxide. So they're both Inktenses. So this is not quite dry, but this area here is drier than the other areas. So let's just drop some of these in. They're quite strong, aren't they? Now we'll put some of the orange in. So you can pop on your pencil even though that layer is still wet, which of course in normal watercolour you have to be a bit careful, don't you, of your timings. So as I come over here, this is now becoming drier, so the marks aren't going to move quite so much. That's quite nice. And then we've got, what other colours have we got? Madder, carmine. So let's just have a little play where it's still wet. Oh, that's very strong. Definitely lose it as soon as it dries though. It's getting to that point where it will all be dry. The nice thing about it, if you don't like something whilst you're in the middle of it because it's too harsh, remember what I said before, is go in as quickly as you can and soften it, because those lines will stick. It's already a lot stronger than the one washed before, isn't it? So there we go, let's let that all dry. I'm going in with beach green now to suggest some sort of leaf veins. I don't know if you just heard that. That's our little wren who lives in the hedge next to the studio, along with the dunnocks obviously. That was beach green. Let's try apple green. This is probably going to be extremely vibrant. Just going to do some harsher lines. And just see if we can soften any of those. They've just gone on. Is there any way of moving them? Yes, the apple green moves. Not so much the beach green, but it's given us some interesting textures, isn't it? So this time I think I'd like to draw into the flower but I want it to be wet, so I'm very gently dampening down the whole flower. Then let's just pick up some random ones. Let's go back to that blue acorn pencil with the pink, and just, it's very easy to start drawing the actual flowers individually, but let's go a little bit more loose, just do some random shapes. So this is facing me, so I'm going to go with the pinks here. Let's add in a little bit of there's a purple one here. Just see what that looks like as it comes around to this end here. Oh, that's very, very vibrant. Don't want too much of that one. We've got a violet ink tense one. Let's see what that's doing. Yeah, very vibrant. And now I'm not sharpening these, so you can tell it's quite a thick line. But this is fun. I'm enjoying this, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. As I get round to the end here, this is becoming small buds. Whoops, don't like that colour. Way too bright. Let's go back to this one. There's a little bit of green on the end here of these buds. Go back to my pinks. So when you're doing repetitive marks, you can just basically scribble, doodle, whatever you think. Just let your mind switch off and just enjoy the mark making, which is really quite nice. There we go. That's me just enjoying myself. A few little lines. Trying to get the edge of that part of the flower showing. Let's go back to that carmine again. All the wildlife coming in as well. So I'm now just scribbling lines. Sometimes you don't do a painting and you just find yourself going quite happily on a little wander without really thinking too much, which is nice. That means you're enjoying yourself and it's doing you the world of good. So let's just see if I can soften any of these again. Don't mind if these blend together a little bit. That's what I did with the sheep. I had lots of lines and then I went wild with my blending, which actually I quite enjoyed because I didn't want it to be too perfect. So I'm just getting some dry-ish towel and just gently breaking up that edge there. So you can see that as you start to work at the pencils, you can, so there we go, we're getting almost like a shadowy side here, which isn't real, there's no shadow here at all. Then maybe we can just pull some of these edges out, soften them away as well. So if you're doing a really big picture, this would take a long time. It's really good for going in and adding some lines if you've got a wash already. So if we go back to the beach green, and I'll just perhaps just do a little bit more of a wash here. Let's see, a little bit of a wash here on this stem going off the page, so where it's darker under the leaves. So I've just done that, then I'm going to wash it. So I've now got a damp wash sitting there, which is really nice. Let's just take that up with my brush. Now I can go back to that pencil, or any pencil, even one without colour, and I can pull that wash to go other places. Can you see that? That's quite a nice way of using the damp wash, because as you pull it, it can generate, if I show you again here, it can generate some different patterns. Just made that a little bit damp again. So I'm just pulling my coloured pencil through it, but even if it wasn't a coloured pencil, you could just drag through and just pull the colour with you, and it when you run out of the wash that you're pulling, the pencil carries on and drops some colour down, or if it hasn't got any colour, it just takes the line as far as it will go. So you can layer up whilst that's drying. Just to sort of give you an example, here's one that I've been working on for a little while. This is very rough Cardi paper and recycled cotton, and I've just been playing with the layers here. So these are washes, watercolour washes, and then I've drawn on top with dry pencil. Then I've dragged in some wet. There's a wash that I've dragged off and dragged away there and dragged around here. So you start to get the texture and develop it. So it's quite a nice thing to do. Doodle afternoon, get your pencils out and doodle. So I'm just going to let this dry now. Just going to finish off with my Derwent line marker, line maker. Ooh, just noticed got the name wrong. And this is just what sometimes I like to do with watercolours, especially in my sketchbook. And I just enjoy that extra bit of definition. Not always, but quite like it, to be honest. I'd just like to thank you for coming to Dunlock Studio and for sharing some good weather with me for a change. And I hope everybody's okay all around the world. There's a few extreme events happening, so all we can do is make the best of it, try and relax when we can with our art, because you need that time just to decompress from the world. If you can do it, we're very fortunate if we can. I hope you have a go at sketching with your watercolour pencils. If you notice whilst you're sketching that you're just not getting the results that I am, the chances are you've got a set of very cheap, allegedly watercolour pencils. If you can't get the pigment to move, you can't lift it off the edge, soften the edges, you can't lift it off the edge and end of the brush, do not worry. It's chances are it's not you, it's the pigment you've got isn't very good. Now, I don't expect you to go out and buy a whole new load of pigment, but just bear that in mind. You may have a set that just doesn't perform in the way that I've showed you. The classic would be you put the colour on, you put water on top, and absolutely nothing happens. If that's the case, don't worry. Just enjoy using them as an extra layer on top of your paintings. It's a good way to add some texture, some detail, bit like I'm doing here with a marker. You can do it with the coloured pencils if they're not good watercolour pencils. You can use coloured pencils that are even your child's coloured pencils. You can add to your watercolours and create mixed media pieces. So just have a little play with your pencils. Try blending some colours together, but if you've got a huge set of colours and you want to switch off, that's one of the beauties of them. Just pick the colours you like. Don't try and do a masterpiece, just have a little bit of fun. So until the next video, please, if you like this, just give me a like or even a subscribe would be amazing. I absolutely love it when I get comments, so please do send some messages, ask any questions you've got. Most importantly, get out there, paint, experiment with your own things, see what you can learn, because you're going to find out things that I don't know, that nobody else knows. And that's the great thing about art, is there's really no right or wrong way. You can learn, you can go by some advice, you can take good routes to a good outcome, but just by experimenting you can find your own way. So have fun and happy painting. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I've certainly learnt a little bit more about watercolour pencils and different ways you can use them. Would I have those to replace my big washes and my tube paints? Probably not, no. But do I like using them for embellishment and adding details and just giving a little bit more of an interest to a painting? 100% I do. I particularly like using them to outline a painting before I paint it in watercolour, because you just get that hint of a line without it being a pencil HB line, which is really difficult to get rid of. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all on the next video. Take care, bye for now, and happy painting.